we understood Facebook invented it, they're using it. Why did it go beyond Facebook? What happened?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
why others using it? Why do they need it?
The reason that the primary reason that GraphQL went beyond Facebook is because the people at Facebook are brilliant and generous.
Very true.
They open sourced GraphQL. What that meant was that everything that Facebook had developed for GraphQL, I could use, right? And of course, it cost me money to use anything, but I could use it. And people like me could not only use it, we could improve it. We could give back to it, and we could grow it to meet our needs, right?
Fantastic. This is open to everyone, right? Platform point.
Open to everyone. And the other thing is, because it's open to everyone, I was able to get started with it very inexpensively. Okay, now
yes, tell us about right? Why you decided to go for it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I decided to go for it because of a presentation that a good friend of mine named Eric Streeper gave in Santa Fe. I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We have a little programmers group that gets together, and he showed us GraphQL. I think it was 3.5 years ago, something like that. And he showed it to us. So he demonstrated how easy it was to define the information that you want to get and get that information. And the tool itself, when they did a brilliant thing, because when they made it available to everybody, they made the let's call it a testing tool available, an interactive testing tool, so that you could kick the tires and you could try it. So I was able to very easily, define the data that I wanted to get back from the server and see how I would use that application programming interface. And it just hooked me. And it hooked me because I'm a one-man shop, and I wasn't quite sure what I needed. So I was designing my front end and my back end at the same time. I needed this thing that talked between those two things that was very easy to adapt. And that's what hooked me. So it was available very inexpensively to get started. It came with that critical mass of not just something that was useful, but like this test harness that I could kick the tires and make sure that it worked for my application. Mm-hmm. And then what it did was what I needed. In the app that I'm building, it is a communication app. And so I needed that. One person types it in, everybody sees it. I needed that. And this does that beautifully and easily. And so I can concentrate on the stuff that's unique about my app and utilize the stuff that was already there. So if your application needs that, then maybe GraphQL is the best solution. If your applications, if your business applications don't need that, if your needs are different, like for example, TurboTax, right? I love TurboTax. Without it, I'd be dead. TurboTax doesn't have that rapid. There's nobody else typing into TurboTax somewhere else that I need to see what they typed in. They don't need it. Now they might have a version of TurboTax in the future that does that, but they don't need it today. I have no idea if they're using it or not, but the reasons why I needed it, they don't need. They have a really well-defined what they're going to do. It's the tax code, and it's just really just one person interacting with the server. Mm-hmm. So no, they don't really need it. Could it help them? Yeah, it might help them.
So what I understand, nobody's pulling data from from them, right, back to them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is the lesson that anybody who's non-technical, and even those of us who are technical, this is the question you have to ask. Does that shiny widget, does that tool provide something that I need, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, there's all sorts of levels of need, and it might make it convenient. It might be a good thing anyway. I mentioned before that GraphQL and JavaScript, they speak the same language. And for me, this was great because everything that I've written on my server is JavaScript, and everything that I've written on my front end is JavaScript. And GraphQL speaks to both of those really, really well. So it made it simpler for me to stick to one language, one way of describing data. It made it simpler for me because I have the absolute smallest development team imaginable